Oh, we're
Amen.
live. We're
Yeah.
live.
Greetings, world.
Greetings.
I can't hear you.
Hey, hey, yeah, I
Ah,
gotta.
now, all right, now I hear you.
Okay, I'm like, I gotta turn the video off in the background, basically. Greetings, kings. What's greetings, gods? What's up?
Well, I mean, it's been a long time since we've had to sit down and have a chit chat. And I was talking with my brother, Elijah, and we was talking about that with the indigenous people here in the diaspora, that we discovered 85% of the people came out of from among the Yoruba nation. And right now, the trick is now for our people to try to find themselves. And as you and I were saying, in order to find yourself, you got to look within. And I said you got to look within and without, because not understanding where you are, we're still lost. And many of us is caught up in this artificial philosophy and global matrix that's got us in a bind. And we got to break away from this old Eurocentric Gregorian calendar that's got us jacked up, and this Eurocentric Gregorian Greco-Roman astrology that's got us jacked up. As I've been talking with you and different ones in time past, while I've got the video out now that we're doing about why we need our own astrology and our own calendar. It goes deeper than just calendar that. It affects our lives. We're living in a time now, brothers and sisters, where even the food we eat is artificial. It's jacked up. Until we get back to trying to grow in our own food and doing things like we was originally taught to do, to get our minds and body back. Because we have literally lost our mind and bodies, and they've gone as far now as to try to find a way to hijack your DNA.
Agreed.
Uh,
Agreed, brother.
okay, so I'm gonna play. Devil's advocate, right?
By all means,
And and respond basically how the younger generation would respond,
that's
because
what we need.
a a lot of us that's moving around are unaware of the ability to go within, and some don't give no about going within, and they don't care. Some enjoy this illusion,
Yeah.
and they rather the illusion than finding peace and balance and flowing with the entirety of the universe. So, given the fact that I don't care about whatever you're saying and I'm stuck in this illusion, right? At
Mm-hmm.
what point do you fight for that person?
Well, realistically, I don't. But
Okay.
there are those that is not stuck or happy in captivity. There are those that are not really, they're trying to find themselves. In other words, if they were not trying to find themselves, how could the Psychic and Astrology Society gross $2.2 billion? People calling a psychic hotline trying to find out what's wrong with me, what's my destiny, why am I all jacked, why my mind messed, because right now, 52% of people in America mind is effed up. They trying to find answers to problems and they're looking in the wrong places, especially the people that call themselves indigenous people from Africa or where the connection, because we're trying to operate in another man's philosophy and ideology that does not even equate to us biologically, even in our mental capacity. So we're jacked up to the point that we're chasing like a dog chasing his own tail. Eventually, gonna catch, he's gonna bite, he's gonna holler, oh, So that's what we are now. Our young people are lost because they trying to find an identity.
Let me just jump in, Baba, and
Yes.
I really have to agree with what you just said 100%. Uh, because you see, like in the Yoruba tradition, all right, there's
Mm-hmm.
something called I'm going to say it in Yoruba, then I'm going to say the interpretation in the English language.
All
Okay,
right.
in Yoruba tradition, there's something called Ewo. All right,
Mm-hmm.
and in English, it translates to your taboo. All
Mm.
right, now there's some things we shouldn't be eating. All right, because
True.
there's some foods, some meats that we are not supposed to be eating because it goes against our spirit being.
Mm,
Okay, our spirit being detests it. All right, but again, there's no way you will know if you do not get an IFA reading. All right, and
Ashay.
and that is why when a child is born, um, it is very, very, very important for that child to get a reading on the eighth day the child is named. It
Ashay.
is very,
Ashay.
very important for that child to get a reading so that the child, if I will guide the child and let the child know what his or our taboos are and try to avoid them. All right. Because
Ashay.
if like one of your taboos might be not to eat a certain kind of fish or not
Mm-hmm.
to wear a certain kind of color, but if you do not know and you go against your taboo, then you start to find out that some things are not working in your life. No matter how hard you try, but you just notice it's not working. It's not going to work until it's fixed.
It is fixed. Ashay.
All right. So there's some certain meats, like some people, one of the taboos it might be do not eat pork, do not eat fish with no scales. Everyone's taboo is different. All right.
Right.
But again, there's no way we will know because, excuse me, because we are operating on someone else's frequency and we've abandoned the way of our ancestors.
Um, frequency is all around us, right? We're connected to the source, correct? Um, speaking, seeing, smelling, touching, hearing, so on and so forth. Given the fact that we're still on the third dimension, right? And we cannot see these things and we don't know how these things change the trajectory of how we flow within nature and life. So we feel as if everything that our eyes are showing us is what it really is when it's not. How long do you think it's going to take for us to alleviate these issues, given the fact that these issues have been around for umpteenth amount of years? And I've been so stuck on utilizing my right for so long, it's hard to actually use my left because I'm stuck on my right. So it's not like a babalao is like right down the street. And given the fact that you actually have to be the present of the babalao to actually get this reading, where can the typical person find a babalao to actually do this reading? Because some of us are past the state of childhood to get that reading within the 8 weeks. What do you say?
I'm gonna jump in, Jermaine. Actually, you do not really need a babalawo to get a reading from for you because in Ifa encourages each and every person to be your own babalawo. All right. So you do not actually need a babalawo, to do a reading for you. But again, people, look for a babalawo because what you don't know, you don't know.
Absolutely.
All right. If you don't know, you don't know. So now you're at the mercy of a babalawo to help you do a reading. Okay. Now talking about the frequency. Okay. I'm gonna make a reference to stories I've heard
Because I want
when
one of these. I want one of
uh,
these. ASAP.
uh, okay. Uh, the stories I've heard, from my mother, my grandmother growing up, okay, about our ancestors and how, a lot of this, our ancestors were not even considered as humans. They were considered as gods or rishis simply because they just weren't operating, okay, on the same frequency with other people. All right. This people, you know, devoted their whole life to learning Ifa. All right. they devoted their whole life to learning every verse in the Ifa scriptures. All right. So these people were they were operating on a different level. All right. These people were so powerful. They were so powerful, and I kid you not, these people were so powerful they could, speak to the water to depart or to open up, and they will walk through the water on dry land. So it
These are
wasn't
the
only Moses in the Bible that did it. Okay, we have a lot of those stories in Africa.
these are the
All right, but
telepath. These are the telepaths. These are the these are the reflection of the X-Men, Superman, and
yes,
so on and so forth.
yes,
That's us. But
yes,
yeah,
yes,
continue. Yeah,
yes.
that's
This
us.
so like I said, these people were so powerful. They were operating on a different level, and a lot of their descendants, all right, that got influenced by the white man's Christianity, sadly now tagged the ways of their ancestors as demonic witchcraft. But it wasn't. It wasn't. So again, back to your question about the frequency and how people are trapped in this frequency. Of course, people will be trapped in this frequency because I mean, uh, if you're operating on someone else's frequency, you're bound to be trapped in that frequency. Okay? It's like being trapped uh, in in a virtual world. All right. Now, it's like being trapped in a simulation. Everything around you looks real, but actually it's not real. But someone else, wrote that program that you're trapped in.
That's why it's called the Matrix, and that's why our
And
avatars are within the Matrix at this particular time. Like, yeah,
so
it's
sorry,
simple.
Jermaine. So that's why we have to come out of that matrix. We have to come out of that matrix. All right. And operate on the matrix that our ancestors knew, okay, where nothing was impossible for them to do. I mean, absolutely nothing.
Are you aware of the universe actually changing right now? The temperature, the sun is getting hotter.
Oh, definitely.
The
Oh,
earth is
definitely.
the earth is
That no,
shifting,
there
and
is no doubt, Jermaine. There's something going on in the world,
there's a war, right?
uh,
There's a
and
war.
the governments of the world are not telling us.
There's a universal war right now. Not
There's
only
something
happening
going on.
not only happening in the cosmos, but it's happening daily around us. Nature, like you see through the weather, the storms, the earthquakes, so on and so forth. Like we are connected to the earth, right? So above, so below. Um,
That's the problem.
but the materialistic, um, what would you say about it? I'm gonna call it candy. The materialistic candy is addictive.
Well,
So we go
it
to the store and we buy the lollipop every day and we keep sucking and we keep sucking and we keep sucking, right? That we are overlooking the awareness that's becoming around us because the universe is showing us what's happening. I believe that a certain human are aware that their time is ending. That's why there is a pandemic that was conjured basically to not only change your genetic code, right, but to eradicate you.
well, if I may jump in this, and I want to
By all
piggyback off what
means,
the logic was saying, but let's go back a little bit. First of all, where did the problem start? The problem started many, many years ago by a guy by the name of Julius Caesar in 46 BC. After going into Alexandria, Egypt, and he discovered that the people there were so phenomenal, doing things phenomenally. Now, long before that was Egypt, you had a group of people that would go back 43,000 years ago called the Lubambo people in the Lubambo Mountain out of Swaziland. Our people was doing things phenomenal because they was in tune with the cosmos. They operated on a 1328 frequency, which carried them to the fourth and fifth dimension. After Alexander went into Egypt and conquered Egypt, in 46 BC, he sought to change the frequency from a 1328 to a 1260, brought you from a 13 constellation down to a 12 constellation, which changed the vibration and put you into a hologram and an artificial timeline based on 60-minute clock and a 12-month series, which put you on a patriarch. Being under the patriarch, we lost our connection to the celestial being. We became more terrestrial than celestial. As you said a while ago, Brother Jermaine, that so above, so below. But what the problem is, our above is disconnected from our below. I mean, your celestial, your ori, and your heart is out of balance. So therefore, with that being said, they, by controlling us through our diet, see, we're eating food and things out of season. We're eating food and things that are genetically grown to genetically modified, that is making us into artificial people. So we're easily programmed. To break that, you got to go back to the ancient way of doing things. As Balaji was saying, back in the day, they had when a child was born, before he put anything in his mouth other than his mother's milk, they would do an 8-day reading. That reading, that reading would tell you that child's taboo, what he can do, what he should not do. And basically, it was a manual for guide for that child. We as indigenous people in this diaspora have been long drawn away from our ancient way. They took the feminine energy out. They replaced it with an illusion. They gave us a white God and all these things. And this is no attack. This is a fact. By taking you off of your spiritual center, your foundation, they put you on an artificial matrix. And doing so, what you think is right is wrong, what you think is wrong is right. Now your right and wrong is mixed up. Even the book that they have that they call the Bible tells you that in Daniel, the 7th chapter, verse 25, that he's going to seek to change the law and time. Not only that, it also tells you that in Genesis 1 and 14, that the stars, the moon, and the sun were there for seasons. We're not in our season because we've lost connection with that which is above that governs below. Even as the moon governs the tides in the water and tides in the water in our body, this being found out, the being that we have is an Adamite. He came here around 4004 BC. He established himself as a God entity. When actually he's not, he's a demigod. But our ancestors got caught up in the illusion, thinking that this was the real deal. We got away from the Orishas. We got away from these things that our ancestors were teaching, because before there was no book, it was taught orally, mouth to ear. And as Balaji was saying, we didn't need no Babylon. That word Babylon was a late comer thing, because every house had a priest, priestess in the house that had an insight. We call them prophets. They could see into things. They could discern spirits, and they could see things, and they were taught us these things. We knew about nature. We knew what to eat, what plants to eat, and when to eat it in season. But we got away from that. We became dependent on another man's algorithm and philosophy to the point by we've lost our way. We're eating food now that is genetically modified. You got fish hormones, genes in tomatoes. You got things are grown out of season. You got things that are injected with other genetic codes, and therefore even that's why it don't taste like nothing. Tomatoes don't taste like tomatoes no more. The apple don't taste like an apple no more. The watermelons, because everything is genetic, and by eating that food, you have altered your vibration and changed your frequency, and that's why you easily program. As Richard Mars said, you've been reprogrammed by another program through the food and the diet. How you change the people? You change their diet.
But
Because we don't grow our food, because everything's out of season. Everything we need for survival is depending on the oppressor.
But even the seeds has been modified, right?
I'm saying, yeah, and that's the problem with Monsanto taking over and patenting it. So you got to go now, in order to find real organic seeds, you got to go to people that deal with organic, original growing things, like back in your homeland, Jamaica. If you want to get good papaya, you want to get things, talk somebody down and then send you some seeds. If you can get it through the customs,
absolutely. Because these things are
from over Nigeria. We're trying to get stuff from over Nigeria before we can get the country. They snatch it up, but they can't come in the country. This how they control. If I control your diet, I control your mind.
but it's not, the frequency didn't just change within our body, because like I stated earlier, we're connected to the universe, right?
We was, we're
Um,
not now. We
at some,
were.
because the earth is also out of balance, like the tectonic plates. If you pay attention to
That's it.
Atlantis, if you pay attention to Atlantis and these other junctions that had connections, or they disrupted once they came here, because I don't know how far back you can go back, but we once have a pyramid that was made out of pure crystal that controlled the vibration and the frequency of all the guys on the planet. That was shattered.
Well, 300 million years ago, 300 million years ago, you could go back to the time of Jurassic, they called it, or Pangaea, when the plates start shifting. That's what you're talking about. Not only that, but you got a thing that what they discovered 2.5 billion years ago. They discovered a uh, a reactor in South Africa for for a nuclear reactor. Look at this. I'm about to call you back. I'm doing a radio show. Yeah. People
Yeah.
call me. They called all over, man. They want to get it. But we had a nuclear reactor in South Africa that 2.5 billion years ago. But most people can't even fathom people being around 2.5 billion years ago. And we've got enough documents, archaeological, paleontology, fossils that go back, showing that back then we operated on a whole different frequency. Ifa says that was the time when we was able to go from here to the Orun, and we traveled between the planets, you know, through the Merkaba. But now we can't get out the front door, you know.
So it's like we barely get glimpses of what we're capable of. The dream state, time traveling, and semi telepathic movements, like the
We've
thinking of
lost
one
that
person and they pop up. No, I'm saying we get like blips of it,
because they
like you.
All
demonize
those
it, like
things,
Balaji
all
said,
those
they
things.
demonize it. Go ahead, Balaji.
Sorry, guys. All those things our ancestors did. You see what the white man is still trying to crack about, like teleportation and all those stuff. Our ancestors did all those at will. It was nothing to them. Nothing. All right. There's something the Yorubas call kanoko. Okay, and it's like time warp. All right. It's like shortening the journey. Like, oh, you could actually travel from New York to Texas in like 30 minutes. All right. But again, the white man came with Christianity. I was like, no, 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 that's all demonic. It's witchcraft, you know. Don't practice it. No, 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 no. But hey, listen, if I could travel, if I have something that will help me travel from New York to Texas in like 30 minutes, honestly, is that demonic?
But you gotta realize that we're energetic beings, right? Um, something as simple as like barely touching elbows with a person and getting shocked show that you're electric, right? Um, if they altered your mind with the food, the chemicals, and made you unbalanced, of course you're going to believe these things are out of reach, even when they're at a close proximity, right? It's kind of like them coming forth and giving you specs or glasses to look at the sun when you're seeing it for yourself. They're like, hey, here's some shades to block it out. So think about this. If we're connected not only to the sun but to the moon and so on and so forth, why would you need something in between you actually looking and connecting to those things?
We've been programmed to not to identify and to, as Balaji said, they demonize everything that made us who we were as a people, as a nation. They demonize the female. They demonize our spirituality. They said it was witchcraft, voodoo, hoodoo. Yet they spend billions of dollars trying to understand the secrets and the mysteries and unlocking the codes in it so they can practice it. And they're trying everything they can either to imitate or to duplicate or get rid of it. You know. Like
I
he's
was
saying,
talking. I was talking to my younger brother earlier, and like for him, he's like, some of these things don't matter, and I'm like, yes, it does matter, right? Um, we were talking about the terminology black, right? So, and I'm like, we're going around stating that Black Life Matter, but black is bleak, pale, or bleach, and pretty much is colorless, right?
mm-hmm,
He's like, that doesn't matter, that doesn't stop. I'm like, okay, but look, if that word holds no bounds in their law, and basically on paper you're still a slave, what you think the outcome is going to be if they remove you from your avatar? They're going to walk free,
mm-hmm.
right? Because we lack the knowledge to know these things. As simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing I've learned from Bobby Hemmett, like back in the days, these people hold no power whatsoever. But the more we manifest them into power, the stronger they become because they still energy, right? If we overlook them and what I mean, look at them as if like they're not there or they don't matter, they lose that power.
That's why they gave you their astrology with their Greek gods and the days of week named after Greek gods and Vikings. Because what's in the name? Name venerates. Names give them power. See, power is in the voice through your word. The more you name a thing or recognize, you give it energy. You make it become alive. And when you do that, you make it have force. You either control it or it control you. That's why they was. I use a lot of time in my lecture from a lot of folks follow the Bible. Why would the God of the Bible tell the Israelites in Exodus the 23rd chapter verse 13, make no mention of other gods, let it come out your mouth? Knowing when you name a thing and you use it enough, you give it life, you give it power, you give it authority in your life. And that's the danger we have, because we go around here claiming we claiming to be one thing, but we wear another man's label. Like for instance, you say, well, okay, I'm African in America. Yet when you come, if I ask you what is your astrology sign, you tell me you're a Sagittarius, you tell me you're Capricorn, you tell me you're this, or you tell me you're born in January, you're born in this. Those are Greek gods, and those are Greek names. So now you put that jacket on you to wear along with your other jacket there. You can't serve two masters. Now, which one are they? Are you going to follow the Orishas that our ancestors follow? Or are you going to follow this Greek gods and astrology that the Greco-Romans gave you to follow? And you find that that's why I tell people a lot of time, these astrologies and zodiacs that people follow, they pay all this money for to get a reading on. You're not getting a proper read on who you are. You're following another man's philosophy and ideology, and that's the danger of us being here. What Rich say, you don't find a lion getting a hyena to raise his kids. So why are you running around thinking you're a lion, but you're acting like a hyena? Or jackass and thinking you're a giraffe. These things
And,
got us messed up. Until we go back and reconnect to our ancient path and find who we are as a people to begin with, as Balaji was saying, we need to reclaim our power.
but
Give them
look,
back their power. One thing a white man can't say, you say, man, you don't matter. You're not even in my mind. Forget about you. That does more to him than anything. I watched brother in at one of the conventions. Quasi did this to one of the white guys in a convention in Dallas in '88. He says, you are a mutated gene. You don't matter. You don't exist. And that hurt because he had no comeback. You can call him a honky. You can call him a redneck. That's cool. But tell me that he's a mutated gene. Tell me that he don't exist. That he has no value. That does more than anything. And I know people say, well, it does. Say, man, forget about you. You're not even in my mind. And I've done that.
but given the fact that we're here, we're speaking on these things, right? Given the fact that energy does not die,
No.
it doesn't go away, it continues. Are you aware that there's a lot of us that's running around within a sovereign body? Because the terminology, the status white means sovereignty.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of carbon based people that's running around that look like they're white, but the spirit of a carbon based person is within them.
See, that's the one thing I like about Ifa. Ifa does not deal with pigmentation; it deals with the character and the energy within. There's a thing
Yeah.
in Ifa. It talks about the spirit of the white man. It don't mean white man in pigmentation. It means a philosophy and a thought and an energy that evolves in that. A lot of us get caught up in pigmentation. You can lose your pigmentation, but what about the energy that vibes in that avatar, in that body, in that ship? What about it? You know.
Perfect example, MJ, Michael Jackson. He lost his pigmentation.
Lago, you know, back
So
then
let me ask you.
they called it leprosy, you know.
So let me, absolutely. So let me ask you this, guys. For the ones that don't line up with the signal, as the ones that are aware of the signal, how do you get the ones that don't align with the signal to line up with the signal without bringing down your energy or stooping to their level?
I put it like this: you got cultural casualty. If it ain't they season their time, they'll catch the next boat. So everybody at the same time. Everything has a season. So it might not be your season. It might not be your season.
So don't ever go to a lower self. So don't allow them to take you to a lower self.
You never drop your frequency to try to save them. Bitch. Either they're on your frequency or they catch the next train, because all cannot reach everybody. There's not a one size fit all. And that's why I like about E5. E5 is about empowering the individual. You empower the individual, you empower the house, you empower the family. So I don't try to save everybody. I used to back in the church when I was a Christian. I was trying to be a savior of the world, a Messiah. Found out that's the worst thing you can do.
So guys, like I told you earlier, Baba, going forward, when we do these podcasts, right, I'm going to have a book stationary here so you can see. The book of the day I'm recommending is The Great Cosmic Mother. Before we were a patriarchy, we were a matriarch.
Matriarch, right.
And we need to get back in balance and recognize the feminine energy. You have feminine that's acting masculine, and you have masculine acting feminine. We need, like things being in season, we need to find the balance. Men acting like they're not emotional, they're not cry. Society makes it a stigma where it's like, oh, you're too emotional as a man. Men has estrogen too. It's just not as heightened as females. So we do get emotional at certain points, and so on, and vice versa. So we need to find a balance within ourselves. And this is the book I recommend, The Great Cosmic Mother.
I recommend it highly. But see, back to the imbalance, there goes to the thing called the hypothalamus gland. The hypothalamus is out of balance. That's why you got men thinking they're women, women thinking they're men, because they've been calcified because of the diet. Too much soybean is in the. Who is the author of the book? If the young man want to know, but look here, too much. We went to a soybean thing a while back.
I will shoot it to you, Nick. I will send you the information.
Yeah. So with the soybean coming genetically modified, they knew what they was doing. They was changing. They was almost not on. They began to change the coding in your hypothalamus. And right now you got people they're transgender. Man, how a 2-year-old child gonna know what he's transgender? You know what the hell he even is. But they got this problem already. I'm transgender. What? I mean, so society is programming you with all this media and media hype. I mean, you got kids in the 3rd grade talking about these transgender. Well, you don't know. Don't get me started. But because of the programming, and this media is feeding into it all this propaganda. You know, they got, like I told the guys the other day, they didn't know that Corona It's a constellation. Corona Basalis is a constellation out there that sits above, in the area of Arcturus, near above Ophiuchus, west of Hercules. It's a constellation in the atmosphere.
Nick, I just posted. I'm sorry, Baba. I just posted the authors.
Okay, and it's worshiping she is worshiping India as a goddess of pandemic illness and smallpox, corona. All of a sudden now in Eastern Germany, they worship the goddess of pandemic corona, and it's a constellation. So it's so above, so below. I said this, that the pandemic came to give us indigenous folks a restart, because that's the only thing that came at this day and time in this 21st century. They set the whole world down to a zero, go home. Church went down, church doors closed, businesses closed.
But it's a veil. It's a veil to what's actually going on in the cosmos as well, Bob. But like I said, there's not only a spiritual but a physical war going on right now.
It's a galactical war going on.
You know, like that's going on right now. That's why you look in California, the skies are blazing red, fire, like the rain, like it's deep, but we're so distracted.
Look at the temperature in your town. What, 100-something degree temperature in Georgia?
Yeah.
You know, 170. That's unheard of. 135 in Death Valley. That's unheard of.
Let me say something real quick, guys.
Go ahead.
One thing I do know is there's an entity, a malevolent entity that is hell-bent on destroying the very fabrics and blueprints of the universe. And you have the universe fighting back. And that's why we will continue to see an increase in natural disasters.
Yeah.
Because the universe is fighting back.
You're correct. That's why some people, that's why like most people now, you don't have to fight them on or aim to try to teach them. The sun is hot for a reason. The hotter the sun gets and the more people are catching headaches, the more they feel like they're catching colds, the more they feel like they're hard to breathe. The sun is decrystallizing their pineal gland that was crystallized. Right? So it's making them more active. You got more people that are aware now. They can't explain what's going on, but they're slowly waking up out of this matrix. But they're trying to put us back into it. Their time has come. It's ending. Our ancestors are fighting. We think that because we can't see our ancestors physically, that they're not here. They're not only within our Akashic records, but they're within the universe. Water is alive.
Absolutely.
They vibrate on another frequency. Just one frequency above there. That's where they are. I tell you all the time. It's not a thing called death. It's called transformation. They go to another frequency. The energy is still there. Energy needs to create or destroy it. And what we're dealing with now, we're trying to figure out what's going on. The great mother is upset, and she's fighting back. And like she got rid of the dinosaurs,
absolutely, Baba.
They're gonna get rid of us, because as long as we keep following this being from planet Nuberia, the 14th star, as long as we keep following that Adamite, we're gonna wind up in trouble, because they are a mutation. They are not the real deal. And I don't care if anybody get mad. It's documented that their DNA is not like our DNA. Whole nother frequency.
Absolutely.
But Baba, but like I said earlier, that what we're unaware of, the cartoon, we take cartoons and movies as a simple thing.
No, they're not.
Superman, the X-Men, the mutants, and so on and so forth. That is us.
You know, it would be nice if we could really study the ancient history of the Orishas and the role they played in establishing this place that we call planet Earth. And our other being have come to because see, the Earth has now became the marketplace. Everything in the galaxy comes here to test its knowledge and intelligence. But
this is not even. It's not even the original. This is not our original world, though. We created
no, because we came from the Orun to the Earth because of the overpopulation, according to Ifa. in the he far said that was another dimension that we was in, and it became overpopulated. So Olodumare sent the Orishas out to establish a place for human beings and where we could all abide together. It was called the Dianosphere. After we left the Dianosphere, this thing has evolved, and every religion talks about a world before this world. What we now look
Yep.
at in West in Nigeria was called Atlantis.
Yep.
The Lemur was called the Atlantics. Long
Yep.
before that, what happened to them? All of this goes back in Ifa. Ifa talks about all of this, in the history. And Balaji, you here, you can help us out with that. But what you call West Nigeria was called Atlantis at one time.
Yes, Father. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. I really can't remember the name of it was a white man that did the research. The name just yeah, I can't really remember his name, but he did the research, and he concluded that he had found the lost city of Atlantis in West Africa and Nigeria. All right, and there's so many things in Nigeria that honestly archaeologists wouldn't want to reveal to the world. They wouldn't want to reveal it to the world. Nigeria, I tell people, I said, listen, you don't have to believe me. All you have to do is just do your research. All right. Now, people will tell you, oh, Jerusalem is the most, or Israel is the most important city in the world. No,
sir.
The most important city in the world is Nigeria. It's Nigeria. That's the most important city in the world. All right, because it holds a lot of secrets in it. A lot of secrets.
Hey, I'm gonna recommend another book as well. I'm gonna go get it. You guys can continue the conversation. Hold on.
But as you were saying, Balaji, I think it was called the Lemur people, the Lemur in Atlantis. It talked. I was right across the article by Guido Mantui talks about that. He was a Zulu shaman, but he's gone now. He talked about a lot of these things. There's a book called Ants and Flower of Life. That's another book that volume 1, volume 2. It talked about the world before this world. So, and anybody would read any so-called religious book, it always talks about this place being born and was created out of something. But if I tell you what took place and give you the time, how many attempts was tried to make it what it is, they're doing the same thing, going to Mars and other places now, trying to find habitation. Because this man, though, his time is up. So he's trying to find a place to escape to, because by the year 2030, 2035, it's going to be a major shift. The moon is going to make a wobble. And the lowlands is going to flood. NASA said that other day, says by the year 2030, the moon now is going to hit a wobble, and the lowlands is going to flood. Even in your Bible, I think it's Psalms 104, verse 19 says, the moon governs the seasons. Psalms 104, verse 19, the moon governs the seasons.
Maybe that's the reason why all these billionaires are trying to make it to space.
Are you guys
so they could leave the rest of us on Earth to deal with whatever's coming.
Are you guys aware that they're trapped with us?
Yeah, they're gonna make the great escape, man.
You guys are aware that they're trapped with us, right? And because there is no escape, so they created and altered not only the vibrational frequency, the foods and so on and so forth, because they had to figure out a way to control us. But look, the other book that I'm going to recommend, right? This is pretty much the Book of the Earth. So what Balaji was speaking on earlier, that there is things in Africa like as Atlantis and so on and so forth. Within the Book of the Earth, it shows maps of different sectors like Land of the Giant, fairies, ghouls, goblins, so on and so forth, that they removed from the actual map of this planet. And there's certain like decree that they actually had with these people that regular people are supposed to be made unaware that these things doesn't exist. So you see these things in movies and you think like, oh, somebody created that. Where did they get the knowledge to actually conjure those things and write them within the way they write them? This is another book I recommend, The Book of the Earth. It's a very powerful book.
If I may insert, I'd like for y'all to take a look at this one. It's called The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 1. And then there's a Volume 2. Everything we're talking about is in these two books. Everything. We just got to be talking about. The whole breakdown, the diagram, the whole thing we're talking about. In those two, I've been had those quite a while. That's what I started out with those two there. The Ancient Flower of Life. Then you got a guy by the name of Albert Churchward, All Evolution Religion by Albert Churchward.
So like we watching Thor and we be like, oh, the Bifrost and all that. It's an actual thing. It's real. Yeah. The nine different dimensions, the realms, and so on and so forth. These things are real. These things are very much real. So yeah, I got 3 books. If you want a different form of knowledge, by all means.
Well, and they talk about the rise of Lemire. In this particular one, the rise. Sheesh. Called The Rise of Lemire. It goes into the Merkaba, how we traveled in ancient time. We was able to ascend and descend. You know.
Okay.
You got like
mic work now.
How many videos? How many videos you trying to have? Good.
All right.
Greetings, King.
My mic work now. Okay. Work on this phone.
There's one good book I'm trying to recommend.
Have y'all ever?
Once I get it, I'll share it.
Have y'all ever saw X-Men?
Yeah, I was just telling Baba we're the mutants.
Oh yeah, I've seen that X-Men, Triple X.
A lot of the X-Men is actually biblical. Look it up if you think I'm lying. It's actually biblical. Look it up and you'll see actually what each character is linked to. Especially Apocalypse.
Can you give us reference?
Okay, I'll look it up right now. I have it.
Storm is Orisha, bro. That's
Phoenix. She's Phoenix.
Well, we're talking about these.
You already know.
We know when
Storm is Oya. Baba, Storm is Oya.
Oh yeah. See,
yes,
that goes to remember they borrowed a lot of that from the ancient stories of our ancestors, the Orishas. When you say biblical, remember the Bible came on 4004 BC. We go back 200,000 years or better, and we can walk every one of those signs and symbols of Orishas and power right up to the book. A matter of fact, in Job 9:9, it talks about the Arcturus, Orion, and the Pleiades. All that is talked about in Ifa, about the planets and the arrangements. So when you study Ifa, which means the wisdom of the cosmos, you'll find out that everything they're giving us now is soup warmed over with a different label. It's the same thing, you know. So when I look at X-Men, when I look at all these so-called mutants, Star Trek and all that, I see
that's us.
Wisdom being brought forth, and we look at it like it's a movie when they're trying to tell you something. You hold the power base, but because we've lost our spiritual center, which is the feminine energy, like they did in Avatar when they removed Awa from among the Avatar people. They went there to take over. When you lose your spiritual base, your connection to the cosmos, you lose your foundation. And the foundation among us as a people is not the male, it's the female. Because she's the one that created the first agriculture calendar 43,000 years ago. She set up the moon and the 13-month moon cycle. It came from the feminine energy. And when you remove her from things, you actually lose the home because it takes the female to produce the children. You know, then she's the first educator that teaches them anything about life. You mess the woman mind up, you mess your nation up. And our female, they done went from being goddesses, they're now hoes and bitches. You can't have a hoe and bitch raising your child. You understand? You got dogs. No. We've got to get back to respect. Respect and honor and appreciation. Quit demonizing these women and energize them. How you do that?
I don't know if you guys can see
Oh
it,
yeah.
But these are all the Orishas. Like it goes from
and that's just a few of
it has some like Oya, it has Shango, it has
Babaloa,
and damn.
Ogun.
Like there's
it's 401 different Orishas.
Yeah, there's so much. One of my favorites. Shango.
Let me say this. You know, remember we talked about the zodiac earlier in the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you compare the Greek zodiac, all right, or the Greek methodology of the gods, compare it with the Yoruba methodology of the gods, and you begin to see a mirror image. There's a huge similarity.
Yes.
All right. And then, but now the question we have to ask is, which one is the original?
Well,
where did the Yorubas get it from, or where did the Greeks get it from?
Well, the original is going to go back to our ancient people, which goes back before there was an Egypt, back among the people called the Ashango people up in South Africa, the Labambo people. It goes on back further. But remember this: Ogun is the warrior that they represent, and for as Mars as being the warrior. You got from Ogun, you have Babaloa, you got Chango, you got Yemuja, you got Oya, and the list goes on. And they match up. My thing is, why you run around imitating Greek mythology when yours is older? Remember, they got their stuff 2,000 years ago. How far back do the Orishas go? They go back before time.
You're right.
Before that was time, they wanted to start it when Olodumare called the council together to decide who's going to come and create this new world. They were trying to bring human beings to mankind to. It goes back before there was even a Greek, even the word Greek is in the vocabulary.
But you gotta look at it like this, bro. Baba, they basically speak on these things as if they're like ideas, they're a game. You know, like it's something they created. You understand what I'm saying? So of course, most of us is gonna take it as such.
Don't do the research. You got to do deep dive research. You got to do the research. You said where they get it from. Where did the Egyptians get theirs from?
Exactly.
Before that was Egypt, that was what they call Sub-Sahara. And before then what?
All right. Yes, what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, it's based on Revelation. That's what X-Men is basically based on. Revelation, the 4 horsemen.
Okay, I got news for you.
The different color horse.
Okay, where did Revelation come from? Who created Revelation? Where did the book of Revelation come from?
I don't know if the energy.
Wait. Watch this. And when did they canonize? It took the Bible to the New Testament. So it's the last book that was canonized 120 years later. Who designed the book of Revelation? And where did it originate from?
Was that a question for Nigel?
Yeah. Look up Dante. Look up Dante's Divine Inferno. That's where it come from. The book of Daniel will tell you about those elements.
I also got a question. Why is it?
Go ahead.
Why is it in the Bible also tells you that Christ, God, is also the devil? Well, anybody ever paid attention to that?
Because they came, according to the storyline, they came Remember, the word devil is a word that means adversary. That is not Lucifer. Lucifer means the illuminated one. That's in Isaiah the 14th chapter. And they equate Jesus with being the illuminated one, as he said in Revelation 22:16. They make comparison. I am the bright and morning star.
My belief is Lucifer is the only one who could actually, through a transferring process, be on earth to possess people.
That is not true.
No, I disagree.
Every Orisha has the power to call for possession. To possess. Yep. That he's not the only one can do that. We got Orishas that when they go through initiation, they become possessed with the energy of Ogun, Shango, Yemuja. Those energies come in and they act out and they perform certain things. Every entity has the ability to possess a body because it's only energy. So you say,
do you believe that? Do you believe that some people was born evil?
Nobody's born evil. You're born with a balance, and you lean to the right or left. You're not born in. You're born with a balance. Energy is neither evil or good. It depends what the programming is once it goes into it.
Yeah, there's no such thing as good or evil.
There's no thing as good or evil. Those things come from your society and programming. You're taught good or evil. What makes you a God, according to your Bible? My young brother say he believes. What makes you a God, according to your Bible? To know good and evil. Genesis 3:22.
Yep.
To man become one of us to know what good and evil. That makes you a God.
Yeah.
Balance.
Absolutely.
The key is balance. Most of us don't know balance. We know what we think we know, but that's not balance. A God is only something that knows good and evil and how to deal with it and get the maximum delivery out of the two energies.
We're so out of alignment, man. It's not even.
We're so out of alignment with our celestial and terrestrial that even our gut is out of balance.
And the funny thing is, most people think we only have one brain too.
You got three. You got one in your head, one in your heart, one in your
stomach. That's asinine to them.
Well, asinine, but you said, man, I got a funny feel, I got a gut feeling something wrong, and 9 times out of 10 is something badly wrong because remember your gut is where the navel is connected to your mother. That's the first place your connection started. It started at the navel. What the word navel means? Navel means to maneuver, to be able to move around. So that connection at the navel is in your solar plex. Is where things get started. Therefore, you got a gut feeling something's wrong, but your bottom dollar something's badly wrong or right.
There's another thing as well, Baba. It's not just that. Sometimes we feel a certain way, and that emotion and feeling is not from us; it's from somebody else. Because we're all connected. Everybody feels like they're an individual. You're not an individual.
No attack, Nige. I'm just trying to get you to check your book a little deeper. You know, no attack. And please don't take it as an attack. But a lot of times we say things, when you say the Bible, you have to go into the esoteric and the metaphysical understanding of what that Bible is saying, because the Bible is actually a book of astrology. It's not a religious book. It's a book of astrology. It deals with the constellation. It deals with stars. It deals with planets and their effect on the earth. Why it starts out with in Genesis 1, and they talk about the spirit move on the face of the waters. After that, talk about the lights being brought forth, the moon star, and they'll roll in seasons and times. That's why it says in Psalm 104, verse 19, that the moon determines the season. The sun does not. The sun illuminates, but the moon elevates. And the whole thing is built off of the feminine energy. In your New Testament, they talk about the water barrier. They call that Aquarius. That is not Aquarius, but they call it that in your Bible in the time of Aquarius. Every 2,000 years, the earth goes through a metamorphosis. Every 26,000 years, goes through a change. Many of you are operating on a zodiac, on an astrology sign that is not your sign, because the sign changed around 270 AD. The signs changed, and it changed again in 1582. A lot of folks don't know that. You saying there's 12 signs in the astrology when there's 13 signs, which means your sign is out of link, because they credit January and February. They added it into the Greco-Roman because it was only 10 months in the Roman calendar. If other people had 13 months from Kemet even to the among the Yorubas and the Igbos and you going down. Before then we had 13 months, because it was built off the menstrual cycle of the female. 13 moons, 13 months, 4 seasons, 4 down 13 is what? 52. If you divide 4 weeks into 52 into 52 weeks, you get 13, not 12, which means you work a whole month free and don't even know it.
Absolutely.
So we're out. As a matter of fact, the word September, October, November, they're out of place, because Sept means 7, Oct means 8, and November means 9. But on your calendar, you got them down as what? 9, 10, was it 10, 11, and 12? So even the time thing is out. So we're on an artificial matrix while we're out of time with cosmology and time. And that's why we as carbon-based people, we're so jacked up, because we're looking in the wrong place trying to find answers to our spiritual problem.
Hey man,
Won't
they
work.
believe December is the 12th month when it's really the 10th.
Yeah.
So where did racism got created?
What now?
You're breaking up, Nigel.
Where did racism got created?
Racism is a word for jealousy and stupidity. The word racism, the word race means to study the race. The word racism, not the word ism, but the word race.
Where is it origin?
What do you mean origin? It's origin.
Where it came from? Where the idea came from?
The idea came from jealousy and stupidity, and they called it racism. Race is a compound word, race and ism. Most times it's talking about jealousy and stupidity.
What's the Jewish Bible called again?
The Jewish Bible? It's called the Torah or the Tanakh.
The Torah. And they have something called, I forgot exactly. Is it the O?
They got that called the Talmud. The Talmud. The Talmud.
Where Abel killed Cain.
That's in the Pentateuch. That's in the Torah. That's in the first book of Genesis, where Cain slew Abel. But that was greed. That was jealousy, because the story of God at that time said he's going to choose Abel because of his.
And what was his punishment?
His punishment was to be
cast
out into the land of. Well, watch this. It was cast out into the land of Naz. Where's the land of Naz? Among a people, and then he was given a sign that what was the sign put on him? That if he went among folks, they'd know that he had done evil. What was that sign? What was the sign, Nigel? That when he went among people, now remember, if they're the only people, who will he to fear if he's the only people? He said, well, when I go among them, they're going to fear me. Who in the hell are you talking about? They're going to kill him when they saw him coming. What people are he talking about is going to kill him if Adam, and Eve, and they were the only folks, and with 3 people left, who going to kill him?
The carbon-based people used to remove them.
Who was going to kill him when he went to the land of Nod?
The Bible contradicts itself.
You see that? It don't tell you that Adam and Eve had 200 children, do you? Genesis 5, it tells you that he had sons and daughters. And the problem was Abel wanted to marry his twin sister, and Adam wanted to give the sister to the other brother. He says, no, she's mine. She came with me, and I will be married to her. That's right. He was turned white. And that's what made him become, and even in the story of Moses, when Moses was in the mountain and got the problem, he said, when he put his hand in his bosom and it turned white, he said, don't do this to me, God, because surely you do this, they know that I've been marked with leprosy. Leprosy is the whitening of the skin. That's the worst curse.
But
You
but it
turn white.
was but the question still remained, what was his punishment?
The problem was he was an outcast away from his family. That was the curse. He was an
The curse was
outcast. He was sent to the land of Naz. He went there as a leopard. He said, "This what you put on me, they know that I've done wrong," because he'd be like a flying buttermilk. That was a
but
curse.
basically how they have it. Basically how they have it.
Oh
Um
yeah, yeah, I know how they got it, but they ain't how it was.
you he wouldn't be able to die, right?
No, that's not what it was. No, no, no. He could die because
Y'all are breaking
no,
up.
that's not one of it.
The signals. I
No,
don't
no,
know
no,
if it's the
but hear me
energy
out
Ethan on
though.
the live, but all of a
Hear,
sudden
hear me out though.
the
Help you
signal
out.
is.
Okay, it wasn't
Hear,
about dying because the
hear
death
me
had
out
already
though.
been, huh?
Hear me
The
out though.
death had already been sentenced in the act with Adam and Eve in the garden. Death was already on the scene. They didn't but remember Methuselah need to be 969. Adam need to be 580, 580, 580 something. So it wasn't the death. Death wasn't the issue. But to be an
Oh,
outcast,
I'm still touching on the topic of where racism began.
okay,
So
here you go. Do the
when
etymology of the word racism. The word racism is a dramatic word.
what
You can't find the word racism in the Bible nowhere. That is a term
I
created.
all right. But
I got you.
hear
Hold on
me
for a
out.
second.
Hear me out. I'm saying basically, would you
Go
believe that
ahead,
it
keep
comes from
talking,
the
Des. I
Jews?
got you.
No, no. Remember,
You
the
wouldn't believe that.
Jews. No, no, because the word racism is not a Hebrew word. It's not a Jewish or Hebrew word. There's
They
no
never
word
I'm not
that's
saying they verbatimly said that. I'm talking about years passed on, offsprings. So
that does that
what
does not
I'm
equate.
saying basically,
So I'm gonna. You said look
no,
up
no,
where
no, no.
racism began, right? So
Okay,
I
okay.
recommend
Sometimes you
every
can't even go to
household
idea.
get the original the original
Where the idea
dictionary,
Sometimes you
comes
can't go
from.
with
1928.
sometimes you can't go to every idea that makes sense. Sometimes you
Okay,
can't go steps. Sometimes
okay,
you just gotta
okay.
What? Let me ask
Remember
you a question. Let
this.
me ask
jump
you a
in,
question,
and
Nigel.
then you discover
What's
like,
an idea?
wow.
Okay, you said racism came from the Jews.
Oh, okay,
Show me where it came from the Jews. Bitch, you
but I
say,
didn't get to explain.
well, I'm listening. I'm going to mute my mic and I'm going to.
Okay, okay.
I don't know
So
why you
basically, when he
got
killed
Baba
his
Rod.
brother, right? Half brother, whatever,
What? Okay,
however
Ham
you
and
want to put
Abel
it.
are not Jews. Wait a minute.
I don't know
Ham and
why you
Abel are
got
not
Baba
Jews.
Rod though, buddy.
Ham and Abel are not Jews, and they're not Israelites. They have no name
Right, but
or no culture. No.
it was in the Hebrew Bible, right? You're not even letting me explain my point. I'm like two
Wait a
minutes
minute.
in, just 2 minutes
Wait,
in.
okay, well, I'm a bad guy because first of all, if you express it wrong, I have to stop because Abel and Cain were not Hebrews. They were not Israelites. There was none of that. There was no cultural
No,
ties
no,
to them.
no, no, no. Okay, but
But it's in the Pentateuch.
it's in the Torah, right?
It's in the
And
Torah.
I'm
But
telling you
remember
what
this:
it was interpreted as, right?
that's the wrong interpretation.
It's
Because
there, but I
wait a
haven't
minute.
even explained it, so it can't be
Okay,
wrong
well,
if I haven't
Yeah,
explained it. I haven't even finished.
wait,
you guys, mics
wait a minute.
are cutting in and out, so you guys
I'm
are
gonna mute my mic.
walking
But
over each other.
Jermaine, Jermaine,
Yes,
look up
yes.
Jewish myth and legends for me. Jewish myths and legends. I'm gonna mute my mic when he gets through. I want you to read it. Jewish myths and legends.
All right. So after he killed him, his punishment was basically he is like, um, you're gonna, I'm gonna let you live forever, basically. Well, torture. He's gonna be tortured forever, right? When they say he was gonna be tortured forever, meaning he's gonna live forever. We all know the story about Noah and the ark,
Hey
and
Nigel,
it,
every
you know,
last word,
all his offsprings.
every last word you say is cut out, like
Oh,
so it's hard to hear you.
I. Okay, so you can hear me now, right?
I can hear you now. Where like every time you speak, it sounds like another mic is clashing against yours, so your last words get lost.
Okay, let me make sure it's not here on the other phone because I was happy on 2 phones at one point.
Yeah,
But
you're clashing. See, you sound a lot clearer now.
yeah. So basically, when he killed him, his punishment was to get torture forever, right? Okay. It was interpreted as you're gonna live forever, and it's like you could get killed over and over and over, but you'll never die. They said he turned dark. When they said he turned dark, what do that mean? Did they interpret that? Because not everyone is gonna research. Not everyone is gonna go and do their research. These was those times when nobody have internet, books, all that. Nobody is gonna go and research. So when they say he turned dark, what did they interpret as? He turned into black, like black people.
We're not black, buddy.
First of all, now,
That's how they interpret that. You could say that with
but
a
remember,
mouth.
It can
I
be.
could
It
see that and
can't.
I can
Hold on, Barbara.
understand
It
that.
can't
But I'm
interpret
saying
this
how
as being
they
black because to
interpret
be
it as.
black is to be colorless, to be bleak, pale, or bleached. That don't apply, and that's a status that has nothing to do with your
I,
ethnicity.
I understand that, but that's not what they interpret it
if you,
as. You could
okay,
tell me um, all the knowledge in the world, but they're
No,
not going to interpret it as that. It's like you go outside and
Jermaine,
you go you trying to reason with somebody who's just trying to rob a bank. They don't want to hear all that. They just want to hear that they get in the money. Same thing with this. They don't want to hear reasoning. Some people, it's like you talking to a Republican. They don't want to hear reasoning. They just want to hear a reason to.
well, see, that's the problem we're having among all of our so-called young people. You said reasoning, but what about comprehension? Doing the deep research, and we've done this. First of all, the story you're telling is inaccurate because you're using translation and transliteration to explain what took place. Remember, death has always been on the planet ever since the flood and before that thereafter. You're connecting turn black with the story of Noah and Cain and Abel. That it won't work because remember the story of Noah and his grandson and Cain and the Canaanites being turned black, the children of Ham. That's the story behind that turned black. Everything was black before that was during Adam's time, up to the story up to 6th book of Genesis. You got the storyline mixed up. He was never told he's gonna live forever because he's gonna live forever. It would intimidate the fact that life, he said, in the Genesis, it says, Genesis, it said, except man change and take of the tree of life and live forever. So nobody was living forever because they did not find the tree of life. So Cain could not have found it because he didn't get his daddy didn't get it, and his mama didn't get it. So death has been on the scene, according to the story. That's Genesis 3, 5 through
So
20.
Excuse me.
So Barbara, let me ask you something. For every 500 people you meet, how much of them is on your level?
Come back.
For every 500 people you meet, how many of them is on your level?
1/1/10%.
Exactly. So do you think that they're gonna interpret it like how you interpret it?
I don't ask them. I say, do your research, like you just said. Do the deep dive research because you got your information from some book written by somebody's opinion. Go
They
and
had no
research the research.
computers back then. They had they just came out of being they had no computers back then. They had none of these things.
Where you getting your information from? How you know what they didn't have? Computers are nothing new, son. Computers are
They didn't
nothing new.
have technologies, they didn't have ready
That's not
available
true.
books.
That's not
All
true.
they had was word of mouth.
And guess what?
That's not accurate because you got the Vatican that has up to 8 to 10 miles of information, and we're not even going to talk about the scrolls that they burn. Stuff were documented. Things are documented.
Word of mouth.
Excuse me.
What's
the topic?
That's why we don't have like our
I'm sorry.
most of the books from Africa.
Oh, now,
That's why we don't have most of the books from Africa. Most of the books from.
I don't know where you're getting
Matter of fact,
because
scratch all that.
I mean, young man was trying to get in, but
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to Mike.
But he was trying to get in, but it got cut off, and I was trying to let him in. But let's see. But you said from Africa. Now back, we had a lot of oral tradition back over in Akubilan, named Africa. It's called Akubilan. But we always had a way of keeping records. If you go back and look up the Lubombo bone, 43,000 years ago, Nigel, they were sketching out mathematics on the baboon fibula. They kept math on that. We all had a way of keeping records, and storytelling. So we can't say that they didn't. They might not have passed them down to everybody, but the griots told the story, and we recorded the story.
They passed it down.
Yeah, but now you come back to the Bible.
What did?
Wait a minute. Mike Love is on the line. I got what Mike wants, but Nigel, we're gonna deal with that because I see now that your research is a little bit off. Jermaine, did you get that?
What did?
What's the topic? What we talking about?
It was started out with connecting with our ancient ancestors and going through while we as indigenous people in this diaspora are out of balance with cosmology and nature, following another man's storyline, trying to make it be ours. And we're finding out what's wrong with our people. So Nigel brought in the fact about where racism started at. He's trying to say that racism started with Cain and Abel. That was not racism, that was jealousy. That wasn't racism, that was jealousy between two brothers over a twin sister, according to the text. It had nothing to do with race and controlling race. It had to do with jealousy and envy between two brothers.
I'm not saying it's racism. I'm just saying what people perceive it as.
No, you can't say that.
I'm not saying it's racism.
You said it was.
That's what I say. All my words is what is perceived as.
Okay, you said somebody else said, well, that's
back in the days. Back in the days when they had
Give me a timeline.
Gladiators and
there was no
all
racism
those days with
racism.
But I'm just saying, back in the days when they had kings, knights, and all that, what they used to do when they go to the village.
That wasn't racism.
How are they gonna say? How is it gonna be that?
No,
racism?
I'm not talking about racism.
Hold on. How are they gonna say that's racism when they didn't even know how to describe the carbon base of our skin?
What's the topic we talking about?
Mike, we're swapping.
Being white was leprosy.
I just told you.
We're swapping energy. We just generalize. We're just chopping it up. It's not as specific, but we touch bases on.
They said he turned off.
Knowing ourselves and so on.
You said he turned dark, but he already dark. I ain't trying to think.
So if he turned dark and I say I'm very ignorant back in the days, right? And basically, I said somebody turned dark, and I'm like, wow, they turned dark. Okay, so look at the color of their skin. This is offsprings of Cain.
Now you would Cain.
You should punish them.
But you said
you guys are breaking up, and then it's like, yeah, I get in every one word in, so it's like, yeah, really not hearing each other.
Right. So
I don't know what's affecting it. I don't know if it's the energy. I don't know if it's the actual phones or whatever you're utilizing, but y'all stepping on each other because y'all fading in and out.
We don't want to do that. But look up Jewish myth and legends and let him know what that word means and where it's found at. And then I'm going to carry you back. See, it wasn't no racism. That was jealousy and envy between two brothers. They're the same family. When you come down to the gladiators, you had people fighting among themselves. That was not racism. That was not another culture.
I never said gladiator. I never said it was racism. I never said it was racism. I'm saying what the
You said
people
when did it
perceive it as.
start?
I never said it was.
Okay, you said people say, and you repeat what people say,
It's just
but you
what the
didn't do the
people
research.
perceive it as.
Balaji,
You could tell me that's not racism, and I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
so what do you?
But that don't mean the people
Is
is going to
black on
agree
black
with you.
crime racism? Is black on black crime racism?
Yes, it is. It's a
No, it's not.
psychologically
It's ignorance.
racism.
It's not race. It's a case of cultural ignorance. Did you find it, Jermaine?
Okay, I I
It's so
feel
many
I
it's so many
feel
different things. I mean, it speak on
I feel like
Jewish
Jewish
okay,
mythology
myth
is
and
divided.
legends.
if I go
Jewish myth
rob,
and legends is found in the first 11 chapters of the book of Genesis, and it's all mythology.
It's it's called
well
pride.
I like to put myself
It's
in
called pride.
I like to put
Right,
myself in
right.
Right now,
people's shoes, right? And I like to do that a lot. Now, if I'm about to rob somebody, would I rob the white person? Would I rob the black person? As a black person, I'm like, wow, if I rob the black person, I have a better chance of getting less time in case I get caught.
You're gonna try to find the easiest prey, the dumbest ass walking, like whether it be black, white, blue, or green. You're gonna rob. A
But
robber don't think about color. He
I'm
think
just
about
telling you how
opportunity.
they
Wait a
think.
minute.
Exactly. I don't
When you
care
want
you
to be a
black,
robber,
white,
you think
Asian.
about
I'm gonna
opportunity. You don't worry about
rob you if I
whether you
want
get
to
caught or
rob you.
not. You don't plan on getting caught. So you're gonna find the easiest target, the easiest mark. See, now you're talking street. You find the easiest target. You pick it that's dumb enough to let you walk up and rob them or steal from them. You don't pick whether it's white or black, whether he got anything or not. You don't pick
How do we get
the
on this?
race. You pick the opportunity.
Yeah, but most people would not go up to a
So
white
so
man and say,
basically
"Let me
so
rob him,"
so
because they know
basically
the court wouldn't have no type of mercy on them.
what?
When it said about court, you said if he was a robber, you what about going to court? You think you're gonna get away with it, but you might get your head blown off. Then what about then? You don't need no
You
court.
think
Go
about
ahead
it.
and read.
He
You
was
talking
only
about so
You think about it.
this popped up in the Britannica. Pretty much biblical myths are found mainly in the first 11 chapter of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. They are concerned with the creation of the world and the
biblical
first
myths.
man and woman, the origin of the current human condition.
And that's what it's about. The first 11 chapters, all Jewish mythology. It's nothing real about it at all. That is astrology.
How do they know it's a myth?
It's all a myth. Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve, it's all mythology.
It's
How is it a
folklore.
myth?
Folklore and all of that.
How
I
is
got
that
a
a
question.
myth?
Listen. This is the thing. Like,
How?
let's use common sense, guys. Question.
Hold on, Jermaine, hold on. It's a
I
myth
want to
I
understand
got a
because
how
you
it's a
can't
question.
even
myth.
Go
put
ahead.
you
Go
cannot
ahead,
even put a
Balaji.
time you cannot put a timeline on it. You cannot put a timeline on it. It's a myth.
I want to understand how it's a myth though.
He basically what Balaji just translated. He said, if you cannot put a timeline on it, if you cannot go back based on a starting point of it, it's a myth. It really has no origin. If something has no timeline, it has no origin.
What?
But these are
And that's the case.
these are their words.
That's the
These are
case 'cause
their
a
words,
lot of
bro.
stuff in the world right now is a
I'm
myth.
sorry. You cut out, Mike.
I mean, if that's the case, then a lot of stuff in the world right now is a myth.
That is
I said,
true.
if that's the case, then a lot of stuff in the world right now is a myth.
And you're not
If
on balance with that.
if the stuff if you can't put a timeline on something, then how?
Mike, you're
So?
going in and out.
Mike,
Can you
90% of
can you hear me?
90% of things you deal
You're going in and out. Go ahead.
Can you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you now.
I'm saying, like, if that's the case, then a lot of stuff on Earth right now is a myth. If you can't put a timeline on it, because if we're being honest, the chronological order, it's not in order. But a lot of
the
stuff that's
Bible,
happening in the world right now, the species, the stuff that's going on, that should be a myth. Then
you remember your
Okay.
Bible was created by 5 different priesthoods.
I
Not
got a
one.
question. I got a
Go ahead.
question. You guys, based on this book, right? Biblios, right? AKA the Bible, right? This book tell you you're imperfect, correct? the same book also has a copyright.
That's
right.
That's
Meaning,
that's not true.
bro.
That
It has a copyright. It's registered somewhere. In order for a book to be registered,
even in the back of the Bible, it says. Well, people don't understand. There's 14 books of the Bible that's taken out. So what people are reading now today ain't the whole truth. And if we're imperfect, then that means Job.
I was making a point here.
Perfect, and Job was perfect.
I was making a point. I was making a point. In this book, they claim, I believe we're perfect, but within this book, they say we're imperfect, right? Why are you following a book that was written by a man and believing this man that wrote this book? This book, everybody in this book has a story except for the person that the book is being told.
That's why God.
He ain't writing out one book.
That's why God Himself says, "Seek me."
Hold on, Nigel. I'm not. Go ahead. You said God said, "Seek." I heard "seek me."
God said in the Bible, "My people perish because of lack of knowledge." People listen to anything, but don't go seek it. They don't go do their research. They don't.
What was the name of that God?
Hey, Mike, let me ask you a question, right? They said Adam and Eve
was the name of that God?
Hold on.
What's up?
Hey, Mike, they said Adam and Eve was created, right? Eve came out of Adam, right? I got two questions for you. Who was this guy talking to that said on the fifth day he said, "Let us create man in our own image," right? That's the first question. The second question is, why is it that Adam and Eve, if you look at images depicting them, they have a navel?
Right, go ahead. Right. God was talking about his wife and his son.
So you're talking about incest. So he slept with him. So he slept with a man and created another life. Is that what you're saying? Did you hear my question?
No, but people don't understand that the Holy Spirit is the feminine power of God. You're not listening to what I'm saying. It's not just
Mike, did you hear my questions? I asked you two questions. Did you hear it? Did you hear them?
What's up? Go ahead.
Did you hear my questions, Mike? Did you hear my questions?
Repeat them.
My first question.
Repeat them.
My first question in Genesis on the fifth day, right? On the fifth day. Whatever God you're talking of said, "Let us create man in our own image," right? That's the first question. Who was he talking to?
Right.
And saying, "Let us create man in our own image." And question two.
He's talking to his family.
The depiction of Adam and Eve.
He's talking to his son and his wife.
How can he talk to a man telling the next man, let's create man in our own image? And
that's because
the second question is,
all right.
The second question is,
hold on.
Why Adam and Eve as a navel?
Because I feel like you're making it more complicated than it should be, right? So look, check this out. In the world, right, we have a father and a mother and children, right? So God has to get that idea from somewhere, right? That's because even in the Roman temples back in the day, they destroyed all the worship temples that were worshiping the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the feminine energy of God that came upon Mary to have Jesus. People want to put in the world that it's just masculine energy. That's not the case. God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, everything. They're one. I'm gonna make it more simple for you. You have a pizza. You cut that pizza into 3 slices. Is it still the same pizza?
No, you can't do that.
I just answered your question because you're trying to make it hard. God was speaking to his wife.
Mike.
And speaking to his son. We'll make them in our image.
Who was his wife?
You have a hold on for a second. You have a daughter, right?
The Holy Spirit.
She was created in your image, right? And in order to create her in your image, you had to touch what? You had to be with who? You had to be with who?
You don't. First,
Mike, just answer the question. You had to be with who?
First of all, that's where you. No, because look, this is where you messing up right here too. I'm gonna tell you where you messing up. You are trying to humanize God.
Humanize? A human has animal DNA in them. So one, we're not humans.
Not the same way. Because We didn't create ourselves.
Mike, my
You
mom
saying
slept with my mom slept with my dad. My dad had the spark that he instilled, that he put in.
You said what?
My father put his spark in my mother, Mike. And I was created in my father's image, Mike.
Okay, so who?
So that would make us what? That would make my mother and my father what?
Your parents.
No, that would make them. That would make them God.
You make it.
Yes, sir.
That would make them
what is
God,
this?
Mike.
No, it doesn't make them God from your
Mike,
parents.
appearance is a pair of people that pay rent for wards of the state that the government created because your mom signed over her certificate to the government. So they pay rent for a child, which is a ward of the state.
Jermaine, what's this?
That's a remote.
See, look, I'm trying to get it to you, but you keep blocking yourself. It's right now. You want to believe what you want to believe, right? And I'm trying to make it simple for you. But you're so caught up in what you believe that you're not trying to hear the simple answer. The simple answer is,
guys, I'm sorry. I swear, I would love to hear what you're saying.
I'm gonna say one more thing. And I'm gonna shut up.
I don't know what's going on. Y'all are cutting up.
You
guys are cutting up. I want to hear what y'all saying, but y'all might keep going in and out.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, but I can hear you better now. Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna say one more thing, and then I'm gonna shut up. Everything we talking about right now, honestly, is in vain. Like, if we being honest. I mean, we talking about stuff that happened before us, that happened before the people before us, and it's just gonna keep happening over and over again, and we'll never understand it. I mean, it's cool to talk about, but if we being honest, like racism and how we're treated is actually racism and how. Can you hear me?
Hey, cuz, I'm gonna call you on the phone. Hold on.
Can you hear me? All right.
Go ahead, Nigel.
Yeah, I'll show you different things, right? Now, if you have a piece of gold, right? You have a gold pendant, and you make two of the gold pendants by hands, would they come out the same?
You're starting to break up too.
If I have a gold pendant. If I have a gold pendant and I made the gold pendant 2 times and I try to copy the same gold pendant and make it 2 times by hand, would it come out the same?
Hey, bro, speak now because you were cutting up so bad, like I couldn't hear you. I wanted to hear you speak.
Without a mold and a pattern exact, it would not come out the same. You're gonna be off somewhere, either on the edges or in the bounce or the weight. It will not be the same.
No, I make it exactly the exact
what
same
mold
shape.
are you using?
Y'all can hear him?
No.
Y'all can hear him?
You have to have a pattern.
Can I hear him?
Or mold to put it in. Otherwise, you can't just remember. It's not gonna come out exact right, because even when you write your name, a lot of times it's not the same all the time.
Hey, Baba, can y'all hear him? Yeah, can y'all hear him?
Okay.
Go ahead, speak. Go ahead, Mike, speak. Hold on, Nigel. Hold on. Go ahead.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, everything that's happening right now is because it happened before us. It's gonna keep happening. It's just, and then the truth is, the reason why we going through this is, I mean, people don't want to admit it, but we were disobedient. We ain't listening to nothing nobody had to say. That's the way our race act right now. And people don't understand that the Bible was already a holy, sanctified thing that was given to man and trusted into man, but since man is evil in his ways and he can't be trusted, he took it upon himself to, I'm going to enslave these people and take what I want to take out. There's 14 books of the Bible still missing. But ain't nothing going to change. Because it's like, it's just the way it's set up. People keep talking like we know what the hell we're talking about, but we really don't. We really don't.
Okay, Mike. So let me ask you this, bro. Like, I don't know I know there's certain things you can't explain, and there's certain things you don't have an answer for. But I too was once ingesting this Bible and regurgitating it because my mom is a Christian and she lived by this and blah blah blah. Right? This is not a book you should. It says it. It's not a book you should live your life by.
I already seek my answers for myself though. Like a lot of stuff that people. All right, so one thing. All right, let me ask you a question. Y'all think God was just a loving guy? Y'all think God don't hate people?
I don't understand. You saying before you mentioned that God is a feminine being, right?
No, I didn't say that. No.
So what did you say earlier?
No, he didn't say
I
that.
said God is everything. The problem with us human beings is we only use 14% of our brain.
That's a lie, Mike. You use your right and left, right?
All right. So look, if you're not using 14% of your brain right now, fly right now, because you can. You know why you can't fly right now? It's because your mind is holding you back, and then because you have a physical body.
Do you think our minds are really what's holding us back, Mike, or you think it's the poisons that we ingested and the?
That's a choice.
How is that a choice, Mike? The food, Mike. Do you control your food?
Yeah, I can. If I
how, Mike? If you're not creating it, how do you control it? If you're not creating it, if the government is creating it and they're putting GMOs and deliberately putting chemicals, not only chemtrails in your sky, they're deliberately using frequencies to change not only your trajectory, but to make you unbalanced, Mike. How are you going to fall into yourself?
Everything is a choice. I'm going to tell you right now why everything is a choice. And if you
That's one of the ones that's lost. Why I say with the lead to the next season.
I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why she alive so long is because her doctor is African. Doesn't need her medicine that the government takes.
That's one of the ones that lead to the next season. You don't worry with that, but you have to catch the next flight.
Because she has the money to do that. That's why
you said the Queen of England is alive to this day because she has an African doctor that treats her herbs and don't give her certain things. Do you also know that the Queen of England is a reptilian that actually flow off of adrenochrome? Adrenochrome actually comes out of children.
You're above his pay grade.
The way when you scare children to the point of death, right? They got something called panda eyes, right? They go into their blood and take out the adrenochrome. The adrenochrome keep them youthful. They eat people, Mike.
I believe that. I believe that's why they kill all these.
Oh, well, you believe that, Mike? You believe other stuff.
I ain't obstructing that. You know why they try to kill us? You know why they do that? It's because they know our body's naturally healthy. That's why they try to.
No, Mike, they're trying to kill us because they know we're gods, Mike, and they're the only people on the planet that are human. They have animal DNA within them. We are gods, Mike.
I feel like everybody has a mixture now. So look, check this out.
Mike, you got to catch the next boat, man. You got to catch the next boat or the next ship, because you ain't going to make this one.
God says you have two nations in your womb right now. The nation of Jacob.
Brother Mike is gone.
Red man is white people. Jacob were black people. Right? So when we decided to disobey God, God already said, all right, I'm going to let y'all have it. I'm going to let them chain you up and enslave you and take you to foreign lands and they shall rule over you.
I don't know what book he's reading, but that's definitely ain't.
Why? Because of our pride.
Hey, cuz.
What book is he reading?
Listen, I'm going to say one more thing.
That's what book is he reading out of?
You don't understand. The reason, if you notice, why certain people get away with so many things and why you can't get away with it is because
It's the system.
They're supposed to get away with it because God don't have no new. That's not his chosen people.
Mike, if we're playing a game and I create the rules, I can make the rules whatever the hell I want to make it. And guess what? You can't do shit about it. Because it's my game and it's my rules. What I'm saying to you is this is common sense. I've never seen a man in pain and cry for God.
That's true. That's a lot.
I've never seen a man in pain. I'm speaking from my experience. I have never witnessed a man in pain and he cries for God, but his mother. He cried for his mother. That's your experience. I'm speaking for myself.
I'm gonna tell you something that you're doing wrong right now. You keep putting all your power in a woman, but a woman
I keep putting the power in a woman, Mike. My life continues because of a woman, Mike. What do you mean I keep putting?
Your life continues because of a man and a woman.
Mike.
I told you, Mike. The boat.
Mike, how did you come into this world, Mike? How did you come into this world? Mike, no, Mike. You came through the portal of the feminine energy, Mike.
No.
He didn't. See, I told you I catch the next boat.
A woman can
Mike gotta catch the next boat, man.
But in order for that child to be born, she has to be impregnated by a man.
Mike, I'm not taking that away. I'm not taking that away, Mike. But if you go back into nature, there's feminine, there are plants that has feminine energy, and there's certain animals that doesn't need the male representation in order to. And
if you look at seahorses give birth, male seahorses give birth to the kids. So what that
Mike, I'm not taking away anything from us as a. I'm not taking away anything from us as a father, Mike. But what I'm saying is, in order, like the same Adam and Eve that Christianity speak of frequently, they have a navel. In order to have a navel, you have to be connected to a woman.
Why is that the truth, though?
Because were you in the hospital? Were you in the hospital when your daughter born?
Let me say this one.
I told the boy missed the boat, man. He fell on his head.
Past experiences and what you know now. So what if God just made a man with a navel just like that and decided to keep it?
Well, if God made a man with a navel just because, you wouldn't need a woman. The navel is connected to the.
You're gonna be a long time with that.
The point I'm trying to make is, if you look at this world right now, I see what you're saying, but if you look at this world right now and just let go of the notation of that, let go of whatever notation you got going on, just for 1 second, and then look at the world. A lot of the stuff you see in the world should be possible. Bumblebees should be able to fly. Women should be able to give birth out there time.
Mike says who? Says the Eurocentric individual?
So if that's the case, if that's the case, this is the point I'm trying to make.
Man, this brother done missed the boat, man.
So hard to believe that he was already made with a belly button.
Mike, okay, listen, I have 2 boys, right? 2 boys. And like I was deep, and I tell this story all the time. I was deep in the Bible, right? I read it too. I was dissecting it. You know what I strayed away from the Bible? When I had my first son, Mike. To see the birth of a child is a magnificent thing. And you know what a Eurocentric individual did? He put my queen against gravity on her back, right? And put her body in trauma so she can push versus squatting where the kid can fall out. You know what else he did? He cut the cord of my child. That cord's supposed to fall off. So this is the same people that gave you this book that you want me to believe in. That's gonna heighten themselves up and make themselves the greatest shit on the planet and say you're inferior.
You're not understanding why they gave you that book, because they know it's real, so they took pieces out of it so you would be blind.
Mike, so before the book, right? Why does the Egyptians have everything that's transpiring today on the walls? And they've been around before the actual so-called white man came into play. Explain that to me.
You can't.
You think they was around before the white man came?
Mike, you think we just got here, Mike?
You think that they came around before the white people came?
It's a fact.
That's what you're saying.
It's a fact. The last time I checked, they're only the Eurocentric people are only 9,000? Is it 9,000 to 6,000 years old?
At best.
Nobody fucking knows.
Nobody knows.
That is the no. If
They
you go
books
back in time right now and tell me that's a fact, then I'll believe.
Mike, a fact is an opinion. If you read a book is an opinion. A book came from a man, right?
So honestly, both of what we're talking about is really just the same.
Mike, you cannot discredit me seeing my son come out of the womb of a woman. I've never seen a child come out of Steve.
I feel what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but the same part of it is just like God didn't give the position to a woman.
He didn't give the position. He didn't give the position to a woman.
He didn't give the position to a woman.
Jermaine, you're wasting your time. Let him catch the next boat.
The reason why white people do what they do is because you're the biggest threat, because they know what a black man's power is. So
Mike, so if they know what your power, so if they know what your power is, right, Mike?
Right.
If they know what you're capable of and they know how powerful you are, what is so hard for them to actually write things or try to control things to sway you and to throw you off of your balance?
You said what now? What is it so hard for them to do?
Why would it be so hard for them to throw you off your balance? They claim it's a pandemic, but nature, trees are still growing, the animals are. I haven't seen a bum catch COVID yet.
Honestly, look though. I'm gonna say something. Does it really matter?
It does matter, King. It does matter.
Because you're still gonna live your life. You're still gonna do your job. You're gonna still speak the same way you want to speak. Does it really matter? I feel like the only thing that really matters.
I think we run around the merry-go-round. This is Mike. Mike gotta catch the next boat, man.
Because we're not a body with the spirit and the soul, but we're a spirit and the soul with the body. When this dies, we're gonna transcend to something different.
Hey, cuz, it's I love you, and it's good to hear from you. I'm gonna chop it up with you later, all right? And thanks for your point of view, King. Have a great one, all right? All right, peace.
All right, real quick, guys. Someone asked. Remember, someone asked, what was the origin of racism?
Yeah, Nigeria.
Yeah. Well, my answer to that person is it's that book called the Bible. Just do your research on the origins of Christianity. Okay.
Type it in the comment section.
Yep. He hit the nail on the head with that, because remember that book talks about this God and a specific people, not the world. He said, if my people are called by my name. Then it says, what I like about it, it says, to you, O Israel, have I chosen above all nations. You know, it's about racism.
Hey,
it's in the book. They want to make it be a global book when it's not a global book.
Hey guys, do y'all know how draining an argument is?
This why I quit doing that.
I felt like somebody just took.
Yeah, you did.
Like a portion of my energy. Like seriously, no bullcrap. Like I'm not there yet. I'm working on it, but it just feels like somebody stole half of my energy.
It did, because I tell you, you got cultural casualties. Everybody and catch this play. You got to catch the next one. That's one of them. That's one of them right there. Because he's hell bent on believing. He don't believe it, but he's there for debate and argument. He know better.
But you know the thing is, everybody is right. Right? Because if you look at it, if we manifest our own reality, right? Everybody's correct. So what that person deems to be true to him is true to him. Like you said earlier, King, you have to, instead of bringing yourself down to one's level, because it's draining, like literally, like it takes energy. You have to stay on your square and maintain your movements. And if they come around, they come around. If not,
they just
keep it pushing. Find like-minded individuals that are free thinkers, that's aiming to do the battle. And yeah, hey Balaji, can you put that in the comment section, King?
Sure, no problem.
It's not only that, it's a fact that when you get a person like this mentally locked in their mind like that, it's a waste of time to even try to convert, because they won't see it. They won't, and they're not trying to see it. That would mean by Cretan, Cretin. That would mean by the word Cretinism, you know. And the brother had his stories all mixed all up, timeline mixed all up. But this is, I'm not, the whole thing is out of balance. And had he even studied, the order of racism is in a certain book called the Bible. That's a fact. That's where it starts at. And they used it to control another people. Yeah. Anyway,
All
still
he needs to
learning.
do is his research. He just needs to do his
what
research,
are you
all
not
right?
gonna
Because
do?
when you talk about Christianity, okay, Christianity is tied into the Bible, right? The
Yeah.
Bible is tied into Christianity, all right? But what he doesn't really know is when you talk about Christianity, what you're actually talking about is Hellenizing people, all right? You're trying to
Mhm.
Hellenize people. So people just need to do their research.
That's right.
Do your research, all right? And then
It's
maybe
too
that's when you will really believe that the origins of racism is
it's too
actually in the
difficult.
Bible.
It's too difficult. Doing
Well,
research is difficult. It's work.
it's
It's
work.
work. We
It's
want that
work.
instant gratification. We don't want to put in that work,
Yeah.
right?
That's the problem.
Some people will see their reflection and tell you that's not what they're seeing.
Mhm.
Do you know how something as giving birth to a child,
Come on.
looking at it as a man witnessing that, do you know how powerful that? If I knew certain things that I knew now, they couldn't cut my child's umbilical cord. If I knew what I knew, I wouldn't go to a hospital for my child to be born. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because these things take us out of our balance. Like picture smacking a child coming to a world that they don't know.
Well, they coming in now screaming. They ain't touch to hear them now. My son was born a few days ago. The dude came in the world. Soon as he cleared his mouth, the dude started screaming. Eyes open, fist balled up, screaming. But you not know years
Yeah,
ago
like
when a child was born, it took 4 days for the eyes to come open. But now they born with the eyes open, they fist balled, and they come here screaming. You don't smack them on the ass now. Soon as they clear
because
the
that's it.
mouth.
Because that's a spirit. That's somebody that's aware that they've been here.
That's right. Dude came in screaming. I mean, he was screaming. I'm going like, damn.
Like, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Like you swear like I was here. And man, like,
That was
dude,
interesting though. Just to
he
hear
put power. Go
just
ahead,
hear the
King. I'm
brother a
sorry.
while ago, just to hear him, that give you the mentality of 98% of our people who's locked in that thing called the Bible. And that's where our work started at. So the ones you can help, you help. The ones you can't, you let them slide on to the next level. And we
Yeah, I'm not
all been
even.
there. We all been there. I was there one
Yeah,
while. And
Same here.
been there,
I'm
done
not
that.
even. I'm
And
not even upset.
no, but
I'm
I mean,
still
but I feel
learning.
sorry for him because when he wake up, he gonna be mad, want to kill the preacher and the deacons and everybody else. Because I was there. He gonna want to kill the whole damn. How bad he been like? Because I've been there. And remember now, I started preaching when I was 13 years old, but I woke up when I was 29. Look all the years that I'm running. I'm running revivals. I'm preaching to people. I'm baptizing people in the name of Jesus. We saving souls. We open blinded eyes and all these things to find out that this was all mythology. All a joke,
Folk tales.
Wholesale.
man.
Yep.
It's
Mind
I don't know
boggling.
about you guys. I don't know about you guys, but there's certain things I know that I cannot draw it up with a pencil and I cannot explain it to you in words. Something as close as aiming to walk off a train track, right? And a voice within you, there was nobody around, said, "Hey, come back. It's not that time."
Right.
These are things that I've experienced. Society got me so choked up, I aim to remove myself from my avatar. And the deeper truth within me said, bro, no.
Nah.
I have fell on my neck and heard every single bone in my neck break, Baba. And something says, get up and brush yourself off. I'm still here.
Yeah. Ain't your time yet. Got a job to do. You got a mission. And that's the
So
thing about
how?
it. That because a lot
Okay.
of us do not know our purpose or our destiny. And that's what I love about Ifa. The more I look at these things and ask, I tell people all the time, Ifa has never let me down. I've let Ifa down, but Ifa has never let me down. It told me what to do, and if I did what it said to do, it worked. When I went against it, I suffered the consequences. A few days ago, I was talking to a person about things. Before I got out my mouth good, it came to pass. You know, it came to pass.
Hey.
And I'm looking at them going, I'm saying now, but see, not only that, we had people in our families, and I'm pretty biological, can bear witness. They had the gift of discernment. They could see things before it ever happened. They would tell us, you know. We had midwives. We look at a child, tell what if this child was, what kind of child was going to be. They could just look at the child and tell you, you know. Now,
Absolutely,
guess what? We got people, they going back to that now. They training people how to be midwives. Why? Because the unnatural way is to lay them on their back and force when you need to squat and have it, you know.
let me just jump in, Baba. And there was something Jermaine said that I loved, and it's something we practice, you know, in Yoruba culture back in the days of our ancestors. The umbilical cord of the child tied to the mother. It is so important because um, our ancestors never used to cut the umbilical cord. All right, they don't cut it. They let it fall on its own. They just put some herbs and let it fall on its own, but they never cut it because to cut it, it's like you're not downloading all the program or the DNA the child is supposed to have from the parent. You're cutting it off. All right. So, you know, those are things that we have to go back into.
Hey, Balaje, do you know? Okay, think about this. Do you know that same sack the child came out of, right? You have to pay them a fee to dispose it.
Yes,
Do
and
you know?
the Yoruba still do it. They
Do
still do
you, do you know if you go back to the hospital and you tell them you want that, you have to jump through hula hoops and pay how
it.
much money just to get it back, and it came out of her?
Yeah, absolutely, Jermaine. I know.
That same sack, if you get cut and they take the blood from that sack and put on your cut, it heals immediately. Why do you think they use them for stem cell research? So imagine if the kid do get that download.
That's the God code right there.
Hey man, I don't know. We got some work to do. We got some work to do. We got some work to do, honestly. Hey, it was a great show. Like the fact that I guess the energies like stuff happens for a reason, and I guess certain people was being cut out. I don't know why. You know what's funny though, Baba? There's the book of the earth. Baba, you can hear me? Hey,
I hear
Balaji.
you, Jermaine.
This is the book. This is the book of the earth, right? Right, and it speaks of the sky goddess Nut, right?
Mm-hmm.
Representing double from the dawn, right? From the dawn to basically the night,
Hold it up again.
right? It's a feminine
Hold it up again.
astronomy, Nut,
Yeah.
the dawn to astronomy,
Yeah.
right there, right?
Uh-huh.
So how can you shit on the feminine? They're not in their right mind because they're shitting on the masculine too. But we're not 100% balanced until we find each other, because one, we make each other balanced. And we're unaware. They give you Jesus, but they go pray to the Black Madonna in shop.
Hey, listen. I just need to tell my IFA followers, all right? In IFA scriptures, there's a verse called a geoglyph, all right? If you can read it, and you will find the same thing about the whole Immaculate Conception thing, which makes you wonder, where did the so-called Bible, where did they get all these stories from? Because in ancient Egypt, they have the same story of Tammuz.
It's unbelievable. I was looking for a specific. I wonder if they know that Adam is not really an actual person. I wonder if they know that terminology come from atom.
That's going to be too much for some people to handle, Jermaine.
Yeah, that's at ATOM, not the ADAM. I had you to read that a while ago. Don't know. And he still couldn't get it.
And the Eve gene is not a real person.
No.
And the Christ energy is not a real person. It's a form of energy.
It's all that's energy principle, you know?
They don't even know like the baptism has to do with the Kundalini energy. Once a man's semen retent, right? If he does not ejaculate, and the sacred fluid, they call it, I can't even pronounce it, colostrum or whatever. It comes down from the brain and travel all the way down the spine. Now, if he does not shoot it out, go ahead.
Check this out. The Hindu took Oshamara within the body and called the Kundalini. In the answer among these five, that energy comes up the spine from the base, where the base near the buttocks is up to the base of the brain. They call it Kundalini. When you look into the Kundalini, they say that is Oshamari, the serpent, the energy going up. You know, and when it goes
that's
up,
the baptism.
Yeah, but now check this out. When it gets to where the shoulder and the head connects, crosses through that crossroad, that is where issue abides. That is the abode of issue. That's why when you get all tensed up,
absolutely,
your neck and that area gets all tense. That's called the crossroads. That's the junction between the cerebellum and the spine.
Who's the gatekeeper? Who's the gatekeeper of the crossroad?
Issue.
Issue.
And if you play with him, what happens? If you don't pay your dues, what happens? Exactly.
Hey man, he's the control of fate.
so think it's a game if you want to.
Yeah. Man.
He takes Eshu is the one who takes our sacrifices to Olodumare.
Yeah.
It's the mediator between the Godhead and men.
That's it.
Look at this. Look at this. Hey Baba, in your great cosmic creation, did they automatically cross out they highlighted some of the truths within the book for you? Okay. So look, right? See, a woman not supposed to give birth on her back.
That's it.
She's supposed to give birth by squatting. It's less stress.
Yep.
It's less trauma on the body.
Your gravity assist.
I don't even think there's such thing that cause gravity, because we break it every single day.
They got a thing called a birthing stool. You squat, and they use that. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, hey man, there's so much. Hey, I want to say I'm grateful for you guys always linking up, connecting to swap.
Yeah, man.
To swap energy. I continue to learn so much from you guys, and I just want to say, man, you guys are appreciated. I mean, the younger generation don't give you guys y'all just dues. In order to become what you need to become, you need to strive and speak to an elder. A lot of us are running around believing we have it, and we don't. You need some form of guidance. Right? And guess what? No one can define what it is that needs to be defined. You have all the records within you. So stop looking outwards and go within. You're more powerful when you go within. Not everything has an explanation.
Ashe.
And keep in mind, you're connected to everything. I am Baba, and Baba is me, and Lajes, and so on and so forth. We are all cut from the same source code. We're carbon based.
Yep.
We're sun people.
Yep, true. True.
Well, look, I enjoy the exchange, the fellowship. I'm glad we got Balaji on. God, whenever he's on, it brings us something to the table. Because we're talking about Yoruba land, which is somebody that knows, and we can bring out across that 6,000-7,000 miles of water. We bring it over here and plant the red over with our folks. And look at this how it is, So, the
And
real
salute
deal
to
is we got to reconnect to our ancient past. We got, I don't mean Egypt. We got to go beyond there.
And salute to Mike and Nigel for actually tapping in. So,
they bring a different
salute to Nick.
Yeah. We need those guys. That's what the young minds are today. But like
if you guys can say one thing to your younger self, what would it be?
Listen to your elders. Listen, and then do the research.
Absolutely. I'll say the same thing, Barbara.
Yeah.
The same thing. Listen to your elders.
Listen to your elders.
Because the elder is a storehouse of information.
That's right.
All right. And if you don't listen to your elders, then you lose that storehouse of information. Then it's gone. It's gone forever. So yeah, listen to your elders and follow the ways of your ancestors. All right.
Definitely, and by all means, do the research. And the thing with that is, when you listen to your elders, you listen to thousands of years of information because they learn from other elders and elders from older, and it goes on and on. And this is past now. I know one time Doc Ben said, when you listen to me, and I think he's like 60 years old, he says, now remember, I'm 60 years, but I have elders that's older than me, that I'm all that knowledge is compiled in me, and you get all this where you are. So we got thousands of years of information brought to us from our elders. They've been through it, they've seen it. But now the trick is this: a lot of us has been elders in another lifetime, just returned. And a lot of folks can't handle that. But I want to say more.
A thing I want to say, I want to say this as well. There is gonna come a time and space where the masculine and the feminine will be standing in their balance. And this foolish war that we have against our women and vice versa,
right,
is going to come to a halt.
Yep.
Because we are one. Don't matter your complexion, don't matter how you look, doesn't matter how your body's structured, you're carbon based. We are one. And there's a lot of stuff you cannot run from.
Oh, no.
You cannot run from. Analyze yourself in the mirror. Find your worth. Love your truth. Stop running from yourself and elevate beyond who you should be and be who you
find your
should
purpose
be.
And reach your destiny.
That's and it. Love your damn self.
Yeah. Most and foremost, yeah. All right. Look, peace, man.